Call meeting to order. Verification for the open meetings law.
Yes.
All right. Approval of the agenda.
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes from last meeting. Take a motion to approve. Also move.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes of the last meeting on January 12th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comment? No public? Right in, staff reports.
All right, not a whole lot here. So we've been talking, Trish and I have been talking with the DNR about tennis courts. So we're just looking at options we have right now. As housing possibly comes in on the hillside, there may be a need to relocate or to get street access as well. So that's been one thing that's been brought up. So we've been talking with the DNR because that property is under 1981 grant restriction. There's a lot that we can't do without National Park Service permission on it. And as we found out, as we were talking to them, it's not only now the courts and the drive and part of the parking lot around the gym. There's also contiguous recreation space, which they considered as the soccer field, and then what would be the hillside fields above the courts were part of that as well. They said they didn't feel that there was going to be a problem taking off the fields above the courts because those were farm fields and they could see the reuse or whatever. They did say that the soccer field would probably have to stay in as part of that grant. And it's another 7 acres onto the additional 5 acres. So the more we talk to them, the more deeper we get into it. So I apologize to Trish for getting into all this, but it's better to get on the front end.
Yeah. Now we get in trouble.
Than to have it come back and say you gotta tear it down and build it all over or whatever. But anyway, so there are some options that they're talking with us. One of them is, it sounds like we can either continue to own the property, lease to the school district and have an MOU with the lease. We can transfer the land, the soccer field or part of it or all of it to the school. And they can take over the grant the way it sounds. Of course, they would need to do some work on that. So there are some options and we're working through that with them. Again, just because this is kind of a unique situation and everything, but so we're waiting to hear a little bit back more from them. Trish is in on this conversation as well, but we're trying to get all this kind of wrapped up so we can go to county board and say this is what National Park Service says we have to do, or we can do or can't do, or what we have to do in order to make a road go through there, or to put additional housing in, or to even to do the school property transfer. There's a few things that we have to keep in mind with that street and with the parking lot out there. So we are working on that. We also talked to them about relocating the courts, if we could relocate the courts, and it's possible, but it sounds like that's going to be more on the costly side, because we'll have to get an appraisal done on what's there, because we have to replace the cost in the land wherever else we do it. So if we move the courts, for example, behind Symons, we still have to have the access to it. We have to have parking to it, and we have to get an appraisal done and say this is how much this land is worth, and now this is how much the land back here is worth, and then do all that stuff. And that's going to be county cost for getting the appraisal. So that's another cost. So relocating the courts is going to be kind of the expensive option. So something we probably don't want to do if we don't have to. But anyway, so we'll hear a little bit more from DNR.
So do you have, Mike, do you have to wait until like SEH is done with their plans, or is that a completely separate? I mean, because they'll be coming up with a proposal for a big chunk of the property, not where the courts are, but like the rest of it. I mean, will that impact anything or not?
Well, it'll have to be taken into consideration. So it'll be something that, county board and SEH are both going to take into consideration when they are doing the whole thing, or the whole thing. So we'll see. The DNR was much more willing, more understanding, I guess, of the situation. But of course, National Park Service doesn't have that knowledge of the UW and the UW goes in that, and we're working with them under a little bit of things. So anyway, we're continuing working through it, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more information. But they'll be working with the SEH and with the county board and with the city council.
Is there ever a time when that grant?
Oh, no,
Even
it's,
if it's
no, it's in perpetuity.
I've never seen that. We had some long-term, like the industrial park, the city bought that land in 85, and the last restrictions on it ended in 22. So no, never ends.
Yeah, no, these grants, lot time grants never end. So this is a 1981 grant that we got $12,000 for, and can't pay back $12,000 and get rid of that guy. It's going to be, hundreds of thousands of dollars if we wanted to get rid of it, unless we transfer it to the school district to make it their problem. So, I don't know. I don't know if you get the school board to agree to.
Motion to transfer, never mind.
I mean, and that could be a potential option. We'll see once things go, because the school I know is interested in those courts. They, of course, are interested in the soccer field, and that is around the campus and around the gym and everything. That might be an option, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. So met with some designers that can design the signs for our trails. So they're able to take basically John's words on the signs or any other wording that we have, put it together with logos and graphics and everything to make really nice color interpretive signs and wayfinding signs. So we are going to need to find, if anyone has any ideas, I talked to John a little bit about this, but we need to kind of create our own maps up there. So obviously the nicer looking maps for the trails that we can get, so we can do the wayfinding signs or the trail map signs, kind of you are here type things, which would be kind of cool to have. So if anyone knows how to do those, or anyone that can do those, I'll talk a little bit to the county too, and see if any of those guys have any of that software as well. So, but they're pretty reasonably priced. We did get $2,500 from United Givers. We got the $25,000 from the state. So we've got about $22,500 to match from the state grant to get our $50,000. We've got years to do it yet. So got another potential source that I'll be applying for later this week. So should cover most of that. And then we'll have to probably, I don't know if you guys want to do a dedication ribbon cutting, or actually that was the other thing I was going to talk to you about, or anyone else that wants to talk to the family or get information on Marty Brewer. If you guys want to do a Marty Brewer sign, if there's something where you want to get information, what information would they like on a sign, or is there a picture of Marty that they'd like on the sign to do at like the trailhead or whatever, and we can include that in the signage as well. But so we want the family to kind of chime in on what they want on the sign to read or whatever. That's about all I've got. Do you have anything?
Not much, just the Ironman, sorry, I shouldn't call it the Ironman Triathlon Challenge. Started February 1st, goes to the end of the month. We have 36 people signed up so far. So. That's all I've got.
Foundation report?
The foundation continues to work on the endowment fund, getting that set up. We've had discussions with local investment firm to help guide us through the process. So that's still ongoing. And we also tentatively have scheduled the Symons Social on November 7th. We held at the community center. It'll be kind of a capstone event for the fall fundraiser. Be food, 50/50 raffle, silent auction. More details to follow. That's all I got.
Okay. Innovation grant.
So we had the stakeholders meeting and the public input session a couple of weeks ago, so we made it there. So thank you for being involved in that. I guess coming out of that, one of the interesting things was at the stakeholders meeting, majority of people had put their sticker on the school district managing Symons, and at the public session later that night, no one put their sticker on the school district. Right now, so completely opposite. But I think part of that too is there really hasn't been any education on what it would cost, what it would look like. So for the public, most of them don't understand what that would mean. That's one thing that I did ask IPA to do as they're working on their final report is to get some ideas of how much does it cost a taxpayer now in the current model versus how much would it cost a school district resident if it was a Fund 80 run program, that type of thing. So they're going to work on that or try to have some little bit of information on there. So a lot of people just don't understand.
Where did the public put their stickers?
What's that?
The public, what did they prefer?
Government.
I believe it was the current one.
Yeah, then they obviously, that doesn't surprise me because they don't listen to anything we're telling them.
Yeah.
And that's not viable.
Yeah.
Right?
And they don't, and they're a little nervous on change, so scared about change. But it was, there were, well, the public, but not a whole lot, but I think that about the same as stakeholders, 2024 or so. So there weren't a ton of people there, but of course, Kieski was speaking that night, and boys basketball was playing River Valley, so that was a tough draw. So we had a lot of competition going on. But it's a pretty good discussion, I guess, which is mostly an open house type format. So it was mostly a chance for the public to ask questions for IPA and for some of us that were there and to get a tour of the gym and of Symons. So other than that, they do have, so IPA is working on putting everything together, working on the survey, putting the survey together. I haven't got the final numbers on the survey yet, but a little over, I don't know, it's a little over 100 members and a little over 250 or 300 I'll call them non-members because the way they did the survey, and I told them about this, is so they did they went out and they bought the voter registry or whatever for Richland County. So they sent information on the survey to all voters in the county. So they all got notification, and then we also sent email blast to all of our members after the voters got their letters, whatever. So a lot of members, I think, took the survey as non-members. So I don't think that non-member thing is gonna work out real well for them, but they were getting quite a few surveys, and it sounded like they'll have all that information together. March 3rd, they've got a presentation at city council meeting. They'll have more information of that on that time, so we'll have at our March meeting, we'll have a better update there. That's about it for IPA.
Okay, building improvements.
So we're working mainly, the big thing on the building is obviously HVAC. Right now, we're trying to get prices together, or we're trying to get plans together for the county. The county does have potentially some money set aside a bit available to do that if we can get some prices to engineer a new system. So right now we're talking with, I know Trish's talked with SEH and with Venture Architects. I've got a meeting with MSA Architects and spoke to them about getting some specs out for us, and a couple of other places that I've worked with in the past that we're trying to get 3 or 4 estimates on plans, specs, and plans that we can take to county board, and hopefully we can get someone to design it for us, and then we can go out to bid for the HVAC. Same time, we're looking for someone to do the exterior wall. I think we've talked about before where there's some effervescence, I believe they called it. Venture Architects have found some swelling and cracking basically because of the north side of the pool wall. It's white if you see it on the back side. It's leading to cracking. They gave it 2 years, they said, and they said it's a priority fix that needs to be made. So we're having someone, we want someone to engineer or design a fix for that at the same time they do HVAC. And then the third thing that we're asking these people to do is to give us a price and some design ideas for how we can get family rooms in Symons. The HVAC in the wall is something that we're hoping that we can get under the county's money with the UW grant that they're working on. The family rooms we've talked with the foundation on a bit, and we were asked what our top priority at Symons was, and we said definitely family rooms. It's been a 20 years plus that Symons has been trying to get family rooms in there. And obviously they fell by the wayside because they've been part of a larger plan that has been too costly and when the larger multi-million plan didn't go through, then the family rooms kind of fell aside too. So we want to make sure that we get the family rooms in before we do any kind of large project. So anyway, so the foundation is that's one of their big projects that hopefully we're going to work on with them for some donations to see if we can kind of get those rolling, at least get plans going, because we want to show that for 20 years we kind of got some plans out there and this is going to happen, because that's the number one thing. In fact, just last week we had someone whose wife had fallen in the women's locker room, I believe, and it said she had Huntington's disease. And he was just wondering about what their options are, because he is obviously an opposite sex caregiver, opposite gender caregiver, and most people think of it being a parent and a child, but we've had a lot of issues where it's been 70, 80-year-old opposite gender caregivers in wheelchairs or whatever else that we've had some issues with that we've had to make special accommodations for. So this is our big priority, and this is why, we have no idea what it's going to cost. It's more than likely going to be in the six-figure range, but we're looking for the simplest way to get in at least a couple of family rooms now for the first phase, and then eventually we can come back and do a bigger capital campaign if that's wanted for any additional space. Yeah, other than that, so we noted the family rooms is the number one priority. Number two priority, making improvements to the existing locker rooms, because those are sad shape. They're just old and they're not dirty because of the dirt. They're dirty because of the age. So a lot of people will see them and say they're just old. And that's the number one complaint we get is on our locker rooms, the condition of the locker rooms, the age of the locker rooms, I should say. So when Kyle's been doing some work on that with some potential contractors, getting us some prices on just mainly cosmetic things, but some replacement of some fixtures, that type of thing. And then number three was basically addressing the locker room, or not the locker room, the weight room. It's one of the other things that we've been getting a lot of people, got some older equipment there and potential to bring in some additional revenue that way as well. So, and that's one thing we'll talk about later with the future space needs, but that's all I've got on building improvements right now.
Okay. Action items, acceptance of donation.
Just a couple of donations. One was for the United Givers, $2,500 for trail improvements that goes towards the signage to match the state grant for the Marty Brewer Trails. And the foundation had approved at their meeting last week up to $12,000 for new weight room equipment. And so Kyle's been working with Lydia on getting some weight room equipment that will go into the new eventual weight room, but we've got a couple of foundation members that wanted us to go ahead and buy the equipment and put in the equipment now, and then when we get the new space for the new room, then we can move it in there, but at least we can get the new equipment going in the existing one now. So the foundation did approve up to $12,000 that we're working with them on for a donation. So we just need a motion and approval for those.
Someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here. Yes?
That was Mary. She voted yes.
Oh,
Yes, she voted yes.
aye. All right, future space needs.
Right, so I passed out map. I think this is one, I think I gave this one out the last meeting as well, but on top is the existing floor plan, just a draft a sketch of the current existing floor plan that we have. On the bottom is kind of the preferred option that we're kind of working off right now, that we will be talking with the consultants that come in to give us pricing on the HVAC, the pool wall, and then trying to fit family rooms in somewhere. This gets the family rooms close to the pool. So we're still kind of working on that area a little bit. Not sure I like it right there, but somehow we have to get people to the atrium, and that kind of cuts right through that area. But we need the family rooms close to the pool as well, so they can get to the pool pretty close there. So we're working on that area a little bit, and hopefully we'll get an engineer to come in and will get some other ideas for us. But obviously what that does is that displaces the lobby, which makes the most sense to go over to the existing weight room, because that is central and that is close to the entrance still. And that displaces the weight room. So the weight room, there's a couple of options that would either have to go to the existing fitness classroom, or that would have to go to the existing racquetball court. So we kind of bounce back and forth with each one of them. It kind of depends on what your thoughts are as far as what to do with racquetball courts. So obviously, if they go and take over the racquetball courts, we lose racquetball, only racquetball courts in the county. But again, there's been a big decline in racquetball players. We don't have a whole lot of them. If you look at the amount of people that are staying away from Symons because of our locker rooms and our lack of family locker rooms versus the amount of people that we will lose because of not having racquetball courts. There's considerably more, probably at least 8 or 9 to 1 that are more in favor of locker rooms than racquetball courts. The other option, if you don't, if you leave the racquetball courts, and then it would be getting rid of or losing the fitness classrooms. For now, the fitness classes would have to go over to the gym, which wouldn't be popular with the instructors. I'll tell you that, just with getting equipment out and just with the sound and not having, we have classes on Zoom right now, and a lot of people take classes at home. That would be difficult to do in the gym to set that up. And then we also don't have the gym after 2 o'clock, and we do have some evening classes, fitness classes that wouldn't be able to go there because the school's over there at that time. But that is an option to, if you wanted to keep the racquetball courts. It's not the best option, but it would be a temporary option. Fitness classes could go over to the gym. So a lot of fitness classes do take part in gym. The community center has some fitness classes as well, so it's not totally unheard of or anything. It's a little bit inconvenient, but it's also inconvenient to lose racquetball courts. So that's something that we're trying to get a little bit more feedback, I guess, from. I don't know if we get any more from members, or we've got what, maybe half dozen or so racquetball members that probably would cause a little stink about it, but
Yeah.
And a couple of them were at the public meeting, and I did talk to people that were there.
Very adamant about post-COVID, it really, pre-COVID, it was, still had leads and it still rent the courts, and then post-COVID, just died.
Yeah, and the other thing is, regardless, if we do keep the racquetball courts, then we do need to fix those up, because those are,
Yes.
the only thing that's about as bad as the racquetball courts. They haven't been touched in a long, long time.
Am I wrong, or is pickleball replaced it? Just,
Well, it's replaced a lot.
just, it really, I mean, there's all age groups now, all kinds of this going on. I mean, so you're telling me a half a dozen people would be mad if they didn't have a racquetball?
They might be kind of vocal too.
Well, they can be vocal, but geez, I mean, how much space, we run into this all the time in Richland Center. How much space do you really have?
Yep.
And how much money do you really have? I can't imagine investing significant money into updating racquetball courts because 6 people were, if you want to find 6 loud people, I know which neighborhood they live in and I'll take you there. And you got to do what's best. And in my opinion, this is not a decision. This is like, are you serious? I mean, how many people don't like the locker rooms?
If it's more than 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but,
I don't know anyone who does like the locker.
yeah, and that's a good point. I don't either.
Terrible.
We have more than 6 families that would family locker rooms too. I mean, it comes down to the greater good.
No doubt about it.
No brainer.
So no one will be, no one in here will be upset if our plans don't include saving those racquetball courts. And if our racquetball players are really energetic, then they can help us do a capital campaign and build a new racquetball court along with some additional space. So that's probably the route that we'll go, and we'll probably, this plan obviously will change somewhat. We will get a professional that come in here and design something pretty nice, but unless anyone has any other things that they'd like to see in there, but this is kind of, again, this is the first phase. It does allow, there are some some things that we could do to, in the future, possibly expand the current locker rooms, because that's one of the other things, they are undersized. So there's a potential expansion that we could do even with these, even with adding the family locker rooms and doing these minor things. We could come back with a second phase if there is ever a future addition on, and those where the existing locker rooms are could be expanded to the west into that hallway. And then we could move some stuff around. So it is an option. How we plan it, that we plan to put in the future. Same thing with the HVAC system. And that's one good thing about doing the HVAC system at the same time as we're looking at this, is that they can plan for these future spaces as well. So obviously, if they were in HVAC to racquetball courts, it'd be a lot different than if those racquetball courts were a fitness classroom or a weight room. And then if they know that we're looking at potentially, additions on some area, they could kind of plan it that way. So it could be built off of that instead of just kind of coming back at some point in the future if an addition is put on, saving some money that way. So any other feedback on?
Yeah, one question, Kyle, if there's an emergency in the pool, who calls 911? Was that front desk? Is that gonna be a problem if the front desk is farther?
Yeah, we've talked about that too. It's been a topic of discussion. It is required that all pool decks have a true landline phone on deck, so a patron could, if they absolutely had to have a pool on the deck. But that's one thing we'll have to,
Yeah,
that'll have to be figured out some way if we go to the lobby.
Yeah, and one other thing would be so we've got 10 cameras now in there.
Mhm.
So that would be one thing that we kind of beef that monitor station up with a new reception desk, wherever that is. The receptionist could see they have a larger monitor where they could see what's going on at the pool and other places, so they'd be able to hopefully see a little bit better that way. But that is one difficult thing about this. We're having kind of that direct sight line to the pool is nice. But there's really, we've gone through 14 or 16 different plans. And hopefully that's where we'll get a professional that'll come on and say, well, actually, here's another thing that we could do that wouldn't cost that much. Hopefully they'll come up with something. We're pretty much going under the assumption that it's gonna cost a lot of money to do plumbing and do stuff like that. So we tried not to do plumbing. We tried to just do as basic as we could, at least to get these in. And then, like I say, an engineer will come in and hopefully find something even better.
do you need a motion on any of that?
No, unless you want a motion to get rid of the racquetball course, see what you say. So go talk to the board. No, I think.
Motion for Mr. Kirk, the motion to get rid of
Yeah.
the.
You motioned on his behalf. It was Dave's idea.
Non-comparable fitness rooms. Racquetball courts.
Wait till after April.
Yeah.
No need having two targets.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, thanks. I'm good.
Okay, any committee correspondence? Future agenda items?
Correspondence just a little bit. Dave and I, with some representatives from city utilities and other people from the city and the county, will be part of a meeting next week. It's more for the campus, but looking at what's where I talked to our utility department heads today. Everything out there, the infrastructure in the ground was put there for the campus as it was. And so which buildings are feeding off what's private? So hence, if you had an expense, who's getting the bill? Literally, things like that. We're gonna get into that stuff in that meeting. And I just kind of brought it up because of where Symons is located, and you guys are talking about possible renovations, this and that. What we ran into with the grant, where nobody knew about that, and it's from 1981, that's what we don't want to do with any of this infrastructure out there. So I just brought it up so you all know the conversation's going to be going on. And it's not up to me, but I would welcome somebody from Symons too, if you want to hear it when we hear it. You don't have to, but just so you know, because it's more complex than I thought, and I heard that today. And I went, because of course, when they did this, it was the mid-60s and Symons wasn't even thought of, much less a high school with a road and, 1981 grant and all this stuff. And I'm going, man, the stuff that sounds so easy, and it's not.
Is there a map of where all the
Well,
utilities are
the
located?
utility guys are gonna bring what they have. They know where it all is, but I want everybody involved.
Sure.
So these folks are gonna have, obviously, they're gonna have to demolish some buildings. I think 4 of them now,
Most likely.
Probably, yeah.
because it sounds like the student center's gotta go.
We had a situation where half the boilers failed in the student center, so it was only running on half heat. And when the temperatures got below 0, we had massive plumbing ruptures and
Oh,
flooding in the building. And so they have had to cut water completely off to the building now. So the repair costs or renovation costs just skyrocketed from what they even were before.
And then,
So viability for it moving forward is questionable at best, I would say.
and what happened today, just so everybody understands, so I was talking to Scott Gall about a completely unrelated thing. And we got around to possibilities, this project, that one, and he brought the campus on. And he's been working with Josh Elder, as he should be. Josh is overseeing the potential demolition out there. And Josh mentioned that the science building would have to go. Well, yeah, except for the power to some of the other buildings is coming from there. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, you know what? We could find 5 more of these. Can we just do this? So we don't find them when we thought we were done. Because I wouldn't have known that. Not that I should.
We knew that.
You knew that,
Yes.
but I'm going, okay, now wait a minute. Just as an example, so that we don't, because he was telling me some more stuff. What I didn't realize, some of this stuff, he kept using the term private. It's like some of this stuff's like its own system out there, sort of. I don't get it. That's why I wanted to do this, so we all hear this and it's not confusing to everybody. And anyway, I just wanted you guys to know that we're gonna get into that stuff. That's all. It just so everybody knows we're gonna be addressing it so that there's not a surprise when we thought we were done.
When is that meeting?
17th
17th at 11 a.m.
here, I think here.
Will that be available via Zoom?
I don't know. We just kind of
It's
did.
not a.
Not a committee meeting?
No, we just did this for the
Gathering.
stakeholders to kind of go, hey,
Okay.
but yeah, that's as much as we
But
haven't
It's
really.
not a secret meeting or anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, no, we don't divvy up all the illicit funds from under the table.
Mayor's already got his.
Yeah, but no, you guys get what I'm saying, and it was just because there's been so many changes through the eras in the property, and now there's gonna be massive change. Let's just take the bumps out of the road.
Currently, the county is soliciting to get bids for demolition of the buildings, the 3 classroom buildings for sure, and then a separate bid on what it would take if we were gonna demolish the student center, which wasn't anybody's first choice, but we need to know what the cost would be if that's a route we have to go, so.
does any of that affect Symons? I think we talked about this.
Well,
What's
this is
power
the thing. I don't know that. You might. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, not that we are aware of. Everything should be separate out to Symons from the campus. The way it's been explained to us is a lot of stuff goes through the gymnasium building because there's massive electrical stuff. That feeds Melville and the library. And then the science building has the other electrical infrastructure that feeds the classroom building and I believe the auditorium. That's the way it was explained to me.
Then how about water and natural gas and sewer?
There are connections to those buildings. I'm not sure where the mains come into the property, but the city utility guys know all that stuff, so.
And what happened is Scott called Mr. Kruger and Mr. Fisher from Sewer and Water into the meeting I was having with them. And they said they're the ones who started using private this and this feeds off of this, some of which I'd heard, some I'd not. And they weren't pushing anything. They were trying to make a point. If you go out there, because they're tearing stuff down and now the new thing wants to get built and you got to make a big change, literally, to whom do you send a bill? Because that was this and this is that. Now the school district owns this. And I went, oh man, I'm not going to know any of this. You guys might, and I don't know if you do.
And it's, if the school district don't know anything yet.
You're right. Then that's true. And that's another great point right there, is that they don't, and then if they do, then they need to know all.
Right.
I mean,
From my recollection, I believe there's a water main that runs along the back of the property.
I don't know.
I
Well,
think
there's
there-
fire hydrants back there.
Yeah, and that's probably why there's a main there, is to feed those, but as far as, you know, the major utilities coming in, from what we've heard from our consultants, SEH, they're not planning on being able to use anything that's buried out there right now. They figure
Sure.
it's all
Kind of sounds
part of-
right.
Like, it's
Kind of
just,
sounds right.
Yeah.
And the other thing, while we're here on this thing, I want everybody to know that when I said, geez, there's a lot going on and I don't know, and I'm not sure you do, but maybe you do. Nobody went, that's mine, leave me alone. You sit over there, we'll call you when we need you. Everybody said, how about this date at this time? And I think everybody should know that everybody involved is trying to do it right and not, well, I'll call you when I think you should hear this. It was, no, yeah, this is a big deal. So, and it is, and we'll get it right. I'm really just trying to, I'm remembering, and I won't take much, but I want you to hear this. When I was brand new, there had been a lot of work done on what became our dialysis center. But it was done, I don't know why, with very little dialogue, and suddenly we had a redevelopment authority that owned the land, and a city council that has to approve this had none of this information. And we had a company that thought they had a deal. Because none of us had been included in the conversation. And it was COVID, so we had to meet by phone. And it was a negotiation, so we're doing a closed session with like 25 Mohegans on the phone. It was the weirdest meeting ever. And when it was, there's an attorney going, and we have a deal for this. The whole place, no noise, because nobody knew any of this. And then the first noise, what the is this? If I wanted that land, I couldn't get that, and I would get bam, 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 and it was a fight. And we almost lost the dialysis center. We really almost lost the dialysis center. Because then we had to go back with, and now we want this much for the land that you didn't hear till now, but we didn't know. And I'm going, wait, nobody should ever live through that. I don't want any of you to do that. So just trying to get in front of it, that's all it is.
Okay. Any future agenda items? If not, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
For adjournment.
Dave, I can't make that meeting next on the 17th, but if there's any maps that are generated showing, I'd really like to have a copy.
yeah, I just